out there, no dress codes, no invites, no worries at this party. So come join us for a taste of Jamaica.
We welcome you back to College Nationals here in Milwaukee at the 2022 USA Ultimate College Championships. The evening session of semifinal Sunday begins with a 4-seed UC Santa Barbara. The Burning Skirts set to battle the top seed from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Pleiades. They are the reigning champions. Colorado awaits the winner, Quandary, with an incredible second half against Vermont in the quarters this morning, and then a dominant performance against Carleton in the second half. So Colorado will get either UNC or UCSB. With Megan Tormey, I'm Evan Lepler, Ian Toner in just a couple minutes down on the field. Let's put in perspective what the UNC program has done. Yes, the pandemic interrupted things, but this is an undefeated team this year. In fact, Pleiades has not lost a game since February of 2020, if you can believe that.
It is very hard to believe, but as soon as you watch them, you understand why. They are such a deep team and so committed to running their very polished systems. It results in really fantastic ultimate, and I'm excited to watch them today.
They are a fun team to watch. So is UCSB, this program that won 4 national titles in the 80s, 90s, and just over a decade ago, their last title coming in 2011. Caitlin Weaver was playing for them when they faced Carolina in the semis in December. They don't have Weaver, they don't have Jasmine Childress, but they do have Julia Hasbrook, and they have a deeper team, they feel, than what they had in December.
Yeah, Julia Hasbrook has done a lot of quarterbacking for UCSB here in this tournament. 26 assists this weekend. And she's had only 7 turnovers, which is huge. The conditions have been windy and the competition has been tight. They enjoyed a 15-13 victory over Washington, 14-11 over Tufts. Her sure-handedness will keep them in this game.
They are certainly the underdogs, though, against North Carolina, who won its first title in December in Norco, California, that unique December College Nationals. Now in the spring, they try to win it for the first time, and they've got a newly minted Callahan Award winner leading their D-line. Dawn Colton is a really special player.
She is indeed. She's had 9 goals, 5 assists this weekend, but really the impressive thing about her is the defensive effort she brings to this team. 16 Ds this tournament, and you can be sure she's going to be in the hunt for more in this game against the Burning Skirts.
Well, in December, North Carolina painted College Nationals Carolina blue, with Darkside and Pleiades both winning it all. Darkside just advanced to the finals. Pleiades trying to meet them there. Burning Skirts, Pleiades coming up. The 2022 USA Ultimate College Championships are presented by Discraft, home of the UltraStar, the official disc of USA Ultimate, your place for all your ultimate and disc golf needs. Visit discraft.com. We make flying discs fun. And by Spin Ultimate, providing custom team uniforms and apparel since 2007. Visit Spin on the web at spinultimate.com. It's a beautiful night here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. UC Santa Barbara has Benser, Levisay, Quinn, the Speedy Winslow Cutting with Cruz, Lee, and Leslie. Nice addition to the team since December. Pleiades with a bunch of familiar names, including another Callahan winner. They had Dawn Colton just a couple hours ago awarded the 2022 Callahan, but number 22, Ann Worth, won the award in the abbreviated 2020 season. Ella Young's guaranteed to score a bunch of goals today for UNC as well. Let's go down on the field to the third member of our team. It's Ian Toner.
Thanks so much, Evan. Well, just when you thought this Pleiades team couldn't get any stronger after its unbeaten 2022 campaign, it gained a national team level talent midway through this tournament. Ann Worth completed her rehab from an ACL injury just a few weeks ago, returned to the practice field. And she's learning how to help others get healthy as she's in the midst of a transplant rotation in medical school. Earlier this week, she harvested a liver in Florida and helped transplant it to another patient. And Saturday morning, she flew here to Milwaukee in time for Pleiades' final pool play game against Georgia. She's been cutting downfield for Pleiades ever since. And frankly, Evan, getting a fresh Ann Worth this point in the tournament feels kind of like a cheat code for Jessie Jones and her staff.
It does not seem fair to the rest of the division, but hey, Colorado has an Olympian on their roster, and UNC adds a former Callahan winner who specializes in liver delivery. So here we go. The second women's semifinal for the right to play tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern on ESPNU in the 2022 championship game. UNC won the toss, chose to start on offense, and teams have done all sorts of things to try and slow this Pleiades offense down. Megan, you've seen it a couple times this weekend on the broadcast with Ultiworld. It's obviously easier said than done. What are some of the things that have worked to maybe not stop Carolina, but make them hesitate for a beat or two?
Yeah, that's a great question. Zone is definitely one of the things that makes them take 1, 2, 3 extra looks before they make the toss. But before the pool play game against Stanford, Jessie Jones said, we're excited to play against zones in the pool play so that we get practice, because we are pretty sure we'll see it down the bracket.
Clinical, absolutely clinical, and it's Anworth in the end zone at Nationals in the semifinals. Powell picks up the assist, and Anworth kind of became a superstar when this Pleiades team became the #1 seed in 2019 Nationals. They lost to Dartmouth in the semis before the Dina Elimelech heroics for UC San Diego in the finals. But Anworth was a star on that team, and here we are 3 years later. She's been through graduation, ACL, winning the Callahan Award, medical school, and now back on the field scoring goals.
It's a lot of talent for one person, but Anworth certainly carries it well.
So UC Santa Barbara, they have made the semifinals at back-to-back nationals within a span of 5 months. There's an easy narrative coming into this game. You don't have the 2021 Callahan Award winner, Jasmine Childress. She's in Switzerland fulfilling her Fulbright scholarship. Caitlin Weaver finished up her eligibility, the Callahan nominee a couple years ago, top 5 finisher in that award when Anworth got the win. She's now in a coaching role on the sideline. So he asked Hanny Pagella, you guys lost to Carolina substantially in December with all those players, and now they're not here. What gives you the belief that you can win this game? And she talked about the jitters that they experienced, how that was the biggest game that any of them had ever played in December, and really kind of convinced me in a way that she's confident that this deeper team, led by Hasbrook and players like Elsa Winslow, Devin Quinn, Yui Shi, are capable of trading back and forth with Pleiades. We will see if she's right.
Yeah, she also talked about the difference in playing style this season, how they've kind of strayed away from the hero ball that Burning Skirts was known for. They run slightly more disciplined systems.
And that was a great throw, slicing it through the defense. Mika Leslie, who was not part of this Burning Skirts team in December, the Australian, dishes to Hasbrook for the equalizer. Impressive response.
Absolutely, and demonstrative of their cleaner offense as they've looked to change their ethos a little bit. And I did ask Coach Jessie Jones, who here has given you the greatest contest? And she said, well, clearly it was the University of British Columbia.
In their quarters this morning.
Right, Pleiades won 15-12, but it was tight for a long way through that game. And she said, UBC plays the most like us. And that is a challenge for them. Teams that have a different or looser playing style, for example, like Colorado, they feel their disciplined systems stack up really well against that. So it'll be interesting to see if the discipline from Burning Skirts can help them weather the Pleiades onslaught.
Mika Leslie stays on the field to pull. North Carolina had the 3-goal win over British Columbia in the quarterfinals. They also had a 3-goal win to start the tournament over a Stanford Superfly team that seemed mighty poised to potentially pull the upset. Stanford obviously has a lot of championships in women's ultimate. Megan, you called that game, and I'm curious what your main takeaways were from watching Pleiades Superfly on Friday morning here in Milwaukee.
Well, the really fascinating thing was to watch how quickly Pleiades adjusted to what they were seeing. And Superfly certainly gave them a challenge by bringing out several different iterations of their zone. And Pleiades was very calm and patient at waiting to see what openings they would find through the zone. They weren't about to rush it. They took each point as a learning opportunity. And I think we're kind of seeing the culmination of what they have learned this tournament, which really just speaks to, you know, the ultimate IQ of the players and also the coaching staff to take the opportunity to take those lessons in game.
This is like a battle of patience right here. The UC Santa Barbara defense trying to stay in its defensive formation. UNC Pleiades just trying to take the easy throw and work it down the field. I mean, they're getting a bunch of easy resets. On the brink, Caroline Spencer back into the hands of Alex Barnett. A little dishy with Maya Powell. Maybe one more big swing could finish this point off. Allie Riley back to Powell, and Barnett almost had a foot in, but not quite. I wonder if Jesse Jones is on the other side of the field yelling, swing the disc, swing the disc. There's the swing, and there's the score. Right on cue, Teresa Yu to Ella Junks, not at the cone, but right in the middle. And it's 2-1 Pleiades. No turns, the first 3 points here in the second women's semi.
Pleiades players play a lot of mini ultimate, being fewer players on a smaller field. It often leads players to throw a lot of short passes, lots of give-go. You can see the level of comfort they have working in tight, small spaces and taking a pause in order to see if there are any poaches, any arms in the way, anything that would disrupt the throw they want to make.
Ella Junks, a big-time goal scorer. Jesse Jones told us a cool story how earlier this week she was talking with Ella about the fact when Ella was a freshman, Ann Worth was like the senior star. And Ella was a dynamic cutter, but she was a little tentative, not wanting to get in Worth's way when she was making her moves downfield. And now, it's almost the reverse, with Junks being the veteran, the wily, experienced star, and Worth maybe a little tentative coming off the injury. And it's just a strange, unique dynamic that Worth is now being perhaps a little tentative at times, and Junks has tried to get her to be more aggressive at times, knowing her talents, experience, and stardom. Not a familiar circumstance in college ultimate to try to reintegrate a Callahan winner back into the lineup. Ian, when we were warming up on the field before the game, it was a little windy. How is it down there now? Hang on, Ian. Deep shot going up after the turn, and UC Santa Barbara shuts it down quick. Santa Barbara's response, a big huck out of the reach of Laura Blumey. Ian, we got you now.
Evan, the wind has been feeling consistent. The same intensity and the same direction since we were down here on the field in warm-ups. And we've seen, for the most part of the day on this showcase field, the offenses that are working from right to left across your screen having to work in a mostly upwind direction. There's a little bit of a diagonal tilt to it that can kind of pin some throwers in a coffin corner at that front cone of the end zone. But for the most part, it's consistent. It hasn't felt like it's necessarily intensified relative to warm-ups.
Is this what you would call a thrower's wind or not quite?
I think the gusts are making it just a bit more intense than a thrower's wind. If it was consistent and steady the whole time, I would feel comfortable describing it that way.
Up the line, the burning skirt defender whiffed on it. Hasbrook comes up empty, and it's Connerly with the first break of the night for Pleiades.
That throw sailing. And you notice it took a couple of throws for Pleiades to start mounting some movement. And then what a great cut from Connerly. Just a little bit of dancing in the lane. Nearly a poach D from Hasbrook. And she tries to read that coming out of the stack.
You know what? The wind might have popped that disc up just a little bit out of Hasbrook's reach. I mean, it looked like she timed it well and almost couldn't believe that she didn't get it. I couldn't believe she didn't get it. Rader gets credit for the assist. And this Carolina team just comes at you in waves. 12-9 in that opener against the upset-minded Stanford team, and then pretty convincing wins over Georgia, Florida State, and Northeastern. I was watching some of that Florida State game. The Florida State team is scrappy and has some players, but just couldn't match the depth over a full 2 halves with UNC. An important point here for Santa Barbara. To stabilize things, avoid falling behind by multiple breaks early. Because I doubt you're going to get too many. Maybe 1, maybe 2 against UNC, but it's hard to fathom them all of a sudden getting super sloppy. Nice lunging grab by Winslow. Good matchup downfield with Alex Evans. One of the standout defenders chasing around Elsa Winslow. Poach attempt, but handled nicely. Vienna Lee gets it to Laura Blumey. Back into the hands of Hasbrook. Yu Ishii was such an important player in the run to semis in Norco this past December, but that throw floats, it's deflected and knocked to the ground by Ann Worth. Now Worth all alone downfield. Sends it. And just a little too much intended for Colton. That would have been what you call a Callahan connection.
It would have indeed, one that does not happen too frequently. But I have to imagine we will get that look at some point today. Talking with Burning Skirt coach Hanny Pagella, we asked about their quarterfinals game because, as you recall, Evan, they were down against Tufts. And she said, you know, the team got angry. This team does not like losing. So they find themselves down early against UNC. We'll see if it ignites the same passion we saw in their game against Tufts.
Burning Skirts on the march. Nice job swinging the disc from Hasbrook. And here's Leslie. Staying with it, Ishii. Rader on the mark. Tight space up the line, a floater, and Worth has her second block of the point. And now Worth going deep. And the throw's going up. And Ann Worth runs it down. Look at the separation. Resets to Teresa Yu. And even this UNC D-line with so many capable throwers, players who have made big tosses in big moments at nationals. And Connolly hits Colton. It's another break for Carolina.
Man, great recognition from Ann Worth. I mean, that's the kind of high caliber, constant awareness that you would expect from a Callahan winner. Reads that big throw so well. And the ladies find themselves in just a very comfortable position. Right in front of the end zone with plenty of time for players in the stack to get themselves sorted and set up a good cut.
Timeout taken by Santa Barbara. Couple blocks on that D for Ann Worth. You see assistant coach Alan Laviolette proudly wearing the Ann Worth jersey there in the huddle. Not unprecedented to see the same school getting multiple Callahans in a few years span in each division. Cal Berkeley having winners in 2016, 2018, Kobe Wynn and Marissa Rafter. Obviously Dartmouth College with Angela Zhu and Jack Verzu, both winning Callahans in 17 and 19. So it's funny, you had 16 and 18, both from Cal, 17 and 19, both from Dartmouth, 20 and 22, both from UNC. So the pressure's on UCSB to produce a winner in 23 because Jasmine Childress won it in 21. You had back-to-back University of Wisconsin stars taking it in the late 2000s, Courtney Kiso and Georgia Bosher. Of course, we saw Courtney earlier today coaching the Carleton team. A couple of Stanford Superfly players won the award back-to-back years. In the early days of the award in the 90s, Dom Fontenette, the Hall of Famer, along with A.J. Johnson. The road to the championship, it was a really good game against Washington on this field in pool play. Santa Barbara got an early lead. Washington wouldn't go away. And ultimately a 15-13 win, and the Burning Skirts took care of business the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, coming into the tournament, I think everyone was excited for that 4-5 matchup. And it proved worth the hype.
So out of the timeout, Santa Barbara has given up back-to-back breaks, 3 straight scores for UNC after we were tied at 1. I'll say, Megan, it doesn't feel like UCSB is dealing with the same jitters that, in their own words, they characterize themselves as experiencing in December.
Yeah, I have to agree. Despite the 2 breaks, they've still exhibited a lot of confidence and are running their sets aggressively.
Yeah, those breaks weren't jitters. They were Ann Worth making
Yes,
plays.
yes.
We're good.
Okay. How far back was the pick? Do you know? Yeah, it's knowing that it was a long time ago. We'd like to come in at, and we'll see if you come in by saying stalling 4. Okay, we're good. Remember, we're gonna restart with a defensive check.
We appreciate the observers wearing the microphone to give us a little glimpse onto the field during these disputes. Hasbrook, nice break of the mark. You can just see that Carolina is a really well-coached team. Watching them defensively, their footwork, their eyes, their awareness. I mean, that was really spectacular offense to work it around the double-team receiver. Connerly anticipated that cut, and the throw beat it anyway. That was special stuff.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. And again, that's another shining example of what you said, that Burning Skirts not showing the nerves that they felt in the same tournament in the fall. They are looking ready for this moment.
Saw the double team, but Ishii throws around it, and Hasbrook leaves her feet, scores her second goal of the night for the Burning Skirts. UC Santa Barbara winning the title in 2009 and in 2011. Both times a 4-goal win over Washington and Michigan, respectively. UNC's first offensive point in a while after the consecutive breaks. This is a really interesting alignment, both offensively and defensively. Carolina's not really popping downfield. There's a wall of defenders, and they're just kind of slowly stepping it up the field, one short throw at a time.
Yeah, because of the style, the offensive style of Pleiades, players are ready to let the handlers just do what they need to do to try and chip away at that cup, but then they want to be ready for a long pass should they break through. So you notice they had 4 handlers back, just maneuvering around, enabling those players to sink back, stretch the defense, and get ready for a long shot.
Youngst dishes back to Teresa Yu. She didn't land in, though. Goodness, how many tight space throws are Carolina going to convert? Another clinical offensive showing. Maybe 30 throws on the point, and 2/3 of them were 5 yards or less,
Yeah.
with half of them being 3 yards.
You know, there's so many times that I've seen the Pleiades go up against a zone in this tournament, and I think coaches have to be so frustrated. The zone did exactly what it was designed to do. It forced so many small, short throws, and yet they still managed to squeak it in.
So that's the question I have for you, and maybe for Ian as well, if he wants to chime in. Who needs to be more patient here, the offense or the defense? I mean, is this defense working? Should UCSB be content? And if Carolina works it that slowly up the field every time, then they've won, even if they can't stop them?
So I think they need to change it up. In Stanford's game, they occasionally threw a box in one zone, so they had an individual person on Barnett. And I thought that was the most effective at disrupting the kind of zone O that they wanted to run. Barnett had to run down the field to try and shake her defender free and then come back in.
Oh no. Not what UCSB needed there. Pleiades throughout their run since 2020. They've been pretty merciless off a turn in terms of breaking quickly. That last loss, by the way, was a Universe Point loss, I think in the finals of Queen City Tune-Up to Carleton back in 2020 in Charlotte, North Carolina. Up the line, tight spaced, oh my! Brilliant stuff as Sydney Rader hauls in another break for Pleiades.
A bobble from Burning Skirts, and Rader is there to inadvertently knock it down.
Connerly just putting it pinpoint up the line. Not an easy throw, but a brilliant one. Let's go to Ian.
Well, Evan, to get to your earlier question, what does UCSB need to do? Does that defense that they're running still work, or do they need to keep mixing it up? I think mixing it up and occasionally coming back to that particular zone defense is fine. But the thing is, North Carolina Pleiades has had the benefit of a really great relationship with the Darkside program. So many of those players have practiced together with 3-on-3 and other mini competitive sets. But another thing that Darkside has done has set aside some of its own practice time to go over to Pleiades practices and simulate specific defensive schemes that Pleiades offense wants reps against. And you're seeing the benefit of that. North Carolina it doesn't matter what defense you throw at Pleiades. They've had this excellent competition simulating opponents' defenses and getting those reps in the run-up to the championships.
Yeah, that's a great story. And I think a lot of colleges and universities strive to have that type of relationship and connection between the men's and the women's team. But it's a little different in Chapel Hill between Darkside and Pleiades. Certainly throughout the pandemic, they bubbled together, played in all sorts of small pods. And you're seeing the fruits of that labor. But it's a labor of love. Pleiades throwing a little zone at Burning Skirts. And baiting that one, Teresa Yu steps in to smack it down. Three breaks already for UNC as they look for a fourth. Yunks changing direction, impossible to defend. It's 7-2, Carolina. A quote, Jesse Jones, who told us before the tournament, with Ella and Ann, I don't know how you match up with that. Good luck. Good luck, world. She wasn't wrong.
That is so true. And I would say prophetic, but at the same time, she sees the talent, she sees what they're capable of. It's more just common sense. I mean, look at how little space Ella needs to make an intelligent cut. Not much room at all. And she's the one who dished that throw to Barnett and immediately struck to the end zone.
Three goals for Ella. And that's 4 breaks in 6 opportunities for a Pleiades team that has only turned it over twice in the first 9 points of this one. Megan, you mentioned how Jesse Jones said how British Columbia was probably the closest thing to Carolina that they've seen in terms of how they play their systems. As Jesse said, they just couldn't do what we do for as long as we did it. And then we asked her about Colorado, not getting ahead of ourselves, but Colorado is certainly a very different style. And Jesse said they're kind of the opposite of who we are. I mean, we're methodical, patient, pinpoint precise. Colorado is just a wild team, shooting it long. We saw that earlier today. And if Carolina can finish this one, there's still a ways to go, but healthy first half lead. It will be a fascinating contrast of styles in the title game tomorrow.
Yeah, she said it could not be more different, their styles of play. I mean, earlier in the semifinal, I really feel like Colorado plays better when they've turned the disc over a couple of times.
Pretty good job there by Santa Barbara. And in the end zone for the Burning Skirts, it's Felicia Cruz. So Hasbrook, who we feature in the Open, has 2 goals and an assist. And that's a much-needed hold for the Skirts. Colton leaving her feet, no big deal.
And one thing that UCSB did really well that point was they kept shifting the angle of their attack. The moment they got the opportunity, they swung around to try and break. And then as soon as they had shifted momentum to one side, then they looked up the open lane. Anytime you can get UNC chasing you, as opposed to clamping down defensively and dictating where your offense goes, you stand a fighting chance.
I wonder if this start to the game has frustrated Julia Hasbrook. Because we asked Hanny Pagella about what changed in the Tufts game when they were down 7-4, and her response was, Julia got mad, and she plays her best when she's angry. And that was really one of the key factors in swinging that game. They've been here before earlier today.
So I'm sure the coaching staff doesn't mean this unkindly, but I bet they're hoping Julia is very angry right now.
Yeah. I mean, just a really talented player. Part of the Seattle scene. There's a rumor with the Santa Barbara program that she was like a state champion in tennis. I'm not sure if it's true or not. And apparently they all try to give her a hard time about it. And we're not really sure exactly that dynamic, but I think we get bonus points for mentioning it.
Her talent in ultimate comes from her prowess in the sport of tennis.
There are some great tennis players who matriculated into the sport of ultimate, that's for sure. Just a sophomore, Julia Hasbrook. Can they get a turnover from this Carolina O-line? Will they stay with a zone, which has slowed them down, but has not gotten a block yet? Now they're going to match up. And this is where so often the Carolina athletes downfield can show their stuff. And Worth lost it, both her hat and the disc. And the first break chance for Santa Barbara with a score of 7-3. Hasbrook takes the reset. Up the line, it's Yu Ishii. Worth right on Winslow's back pocket as she made the cut, now clearing a space. Good cut there by Devin Quinn. Love to see Quinn more involved, Megan. She's a capable downfield playmaker. Can she stay with it? Not quite. Carolina gets it back. Allie Riley swats it down. So one break chance goes awry for the Burning Skirts. And now Youngst. Over to Riley. And Yu. And off the hands of Powell. Nice snag by Hasbrook. kind of looking for someone to cut deep off that catch, but no one was doing anything, and they got bogged up on the under, and Teresa Yu wins the foot race. Just like we saw with Darkside last game, they worked so hard on defense after they give it away on the O-line to avoid getting broken. Megan, you very rarely see these Carolina players do anything outside their comfort zone. Like, they all know their role, and they all stay within it.
Yeah, which is why I really feel like they experienced the level of success that they did against so many different defenses this tournament, simply because they didn't let the slightly different looks change the way they were to operate as a team and as individuals within that team.
Another nice grab by Devin Quinn. She throws the reset into the hands of Mika Leslie. And here's Ishii again. Using the width of the field and Vienna Lee. And then she's rejected by Teresa Yu. I've kind of lost count to the number of plays Teresa Yu has made on this single point. Goodness. Timeout UNC.
She's probably happy for this point to keep going because it is filling up her stat sheet.
That's North Carolina's first timeout.
You just completely canceling the forehand attempt from Vienna Lee.
I mean, you saw her watching where that throw was going to go. She lifted up her hands to emphatically smack it down.
Wow. It's hard to hit a disc that cleanly down when it's thrown towards you.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Like, to get it right at the moment of release.
Let's go down to Ian.
Evan, just before that timeout call, Alan Laviolette, one of the newer members of the Pleiades coaching staff, was giving Barnett the instructions to call that timeout. And talking to him before the tournament, we were asking him what his impressions were of the team and how he's been able to integrate in the coaching staff. And he said, relative to any other coaching experience he's had, the IQ and the accountability and the buy-in from the Pleiades system and team was just so high that he wasn't exactly sure where he was going to be adding value, and he just considered it such a luxury to be working with players with that level of intelligence and commitment that the Pleiades team has.
Yeah, Ian, it was really cool to hear Alan talk about that. You know, when you start coaching, even at the college level sometimes, you're teaching fundamentals. These players have mastered the fundamentals. They are working on their master's degree in ultimate. And they take half 8-3 with some more clinical offense. An uncharacteristic O-point that included 3 turnovers from the Pleiades O-line. But eventually, it's Barnett to Yu who appropriately caps the half with the goal. An 8-3 performance from Pleiades in the first half tonight.
Well, we saw some uncharacteristic mistakes earlier in the point. The possession that ultimately notches them, the goal looks far more like Pleiades than we saw the previous possessions. Perfect execution, fantastic cutting to space, and bookends for you.
An 8-3 first half for Carolina. UCSB coach Hanny Pagella standing by with Ian.
Thanks, Evan. Hanny, we saw your defense using that zone look quite frequently against Pleiades. How effective do you think it was in slowing down their offense?
You know, it's been more effective before. I think, like, we have different, like, kind of caveats that we can throw within that same zone. I think we'll probably still try to mix it up a little bit more, and probably going a little bit more person sometimes in the second half. But we'll probably still keep the zone a little bit, just to keep mix it up.
How do you feel about your team's ability to find its footing and composure in the second half?
I'm not too worried about it. I think the conditions are really bad, but we were just talking to our team before. We've been in this spot before. We were literally earlier today, we were down 3-7 and found a way to work together as a team, trust each other, and generate easier looks. So hopefully we'll be able to do that.
What's the message when you walk over to the halftime huddle?
I think it's just going to be about trust, you know. We're really running our dump sets. I think they're doing a really good job of forcing us to making these throws hard. Their marks are understanding what the wind is doing, what throws are hard. And so if we can just generate the movement that can generate the easier looks, that's what we're looking to do.
Thanks for your time, Hanny. Good luck in the second.
Thank you.
Evan, back up to you.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. They certainly didn't play horrifically. I mean, they felt like they played well at times, Megan, but this Pleiades team is just really special. 4 first-half breaks for the top seed from Chapel Hill as they try to advance to the finals for the second straight Nationals within the last 5 months. It's halftime with Pleiades in front by 5.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds, defy the naysayers,
and even defy gravity.
A place where it's accepted that success
doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave, to the determined.
A place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
A place where we remember to laugh.
Where we learn to trust.
Learn to high-five strangers.
And eventually, even learn to fly.
A place where character, community, and competition
are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play Ultimate, we live Ultimate.
The last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change
around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young.
And still a perfect circle.
Of fair play,
athletic pursuit,
and camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network.
Before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias.
And understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
that there's nothing we can't achieve
when we
pull together.
Long live Ultimate.
Larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
We're at the half in the second women's semifinal with Colorado awaiting the winner after their win earlier today over Carleton. It's looking like North Carolina. However, we saw UCSB come from a 4-goal deficit earlier this morning. Let's take a look at the first half highlights. We began with 3 straight turnover-free points, Megan. The offenses, despite the steady win, were looking great. And it wasn't a turnover-filled first half. I mean, North Carolina finished the half with 5 turnovers. UCSB only had a few more than that, but it's really great offense and pressure perpetually from UNC.
Absolutely. It's really hard to express if you didn't see what UNC was doing. Just taking away opportunities from UCSB to get in there and play the game that they wanted to play. And you see the effort from Hasbrook there. She was there, but the wind popped it up. UNC just so capable at reading the field, reading the conditions, and putting the disc exactly where they want it.
Don Colton's score made it 4-1. Heck of a snag up the line there from Sydney Rader. That was a break that made it 6-2. And then Teresa Yu got going. I mean, a bunch of players had blocks in this half, but Teresa Yu was ever steady. And look, Alex Barnett really taking Bridget Meisner's and Tyler Smith's role as O-line quarterbacks to a new level. And there's the swat down from Yu, unreal. I mean, this is not a UNC team that is exactly the same as it was in December. Tyler Smith, Bridget Meisner, other players were all fantastic, and we see the men's top 5 Callahan winners. They were just introduced, all of them. Liam Searles-Bowes, John Randolph, Alex Atkins, Trevor Lynch, and Hayden Austin Knabb. And the PA announcer Steve Dunn about to announce the winner. Aziz Adeyemi from Brown won this award last year. I've got an audio recording of Adeyemi, which is tricky to hear. Here's the verdict. John Randolph, the 2022 Callahan Award winner, a somewhat anticlimactic, long-winded recognition from Aziz Adeyemi, but no big surprise as the two former teammates embrace, and we will see John Randolph take the field for Brown University against Pitt later tonight. Welcome John Randolph to the Callahan Club. Don Colton from North Carolina won the Women's Division Award earlier. Colton's Pleiades team in front 8-3 at the half.
Most people just see a disc. At Discraft, we see over 40 years of innovation, driven by passion, consistency that inspires talent, built on a foundation, designed for success. Over 4 decades of experience behind your first throw.
What would it look like if a competitive sport didn't mean a choice? Between beauty and brutality, style and steel. Between calling yourself out and clawing to stay in. What if there was a game that found balance? Between spirit and sport. Agony and elation. Like a disc dancing on air.
We now have evolved into a team sport of a game called Ultimate. It stands by itself in that it is like no other game.
Between perfect passes and devastating drops. Like the balance we so desperately needed, we had no choice but to create it ourselves. Long live grit and grace. Long live Ultimate.
Most people just see a disc. At Discraft, we see over 40 years of innovation, driven by passion, consistency that inspires talent, built on a foundation, designed for success. Over 4 decades of experience behind your first throw.
Milwaukee, 8-3 Pleiades here at the half. Ian Toner joined by Elizabeth Parker. Elizabeth, what did you like most about that commanding first half performance from your squad?
I like the intensity. This team, you know, any road to a semis game at Nationals is long, and this team has put in a lot, and they're still putting in 100%, and we love to see that as coaches.
What did you all talk about in the halftime huddle?
Well, we were watching the Callahan ceremony, so congratulations to JR. He's joining good company with Don Colton for sure.
In this second half, you've got such a commanding lead. Is there anything you want to see your team change or do differently to close this out?
No, I don't think there's anything major that we're going to be changing here. We had a game plan. We did a lot of research, a lot of prep like we always do, and it's awesome to see this team going out, implementing those things, and that it's paying off so far. So just hoping to see more of the same.
Awesome, Elizabeth. Thanks for your time. One more half, and then we'll know our championship matchup heading into the championship tomorrow. 8-3 Pleiades at the half.
Julia Hasbrook leading UC Santa Barbara with 2 goals and an assist, but only 3 goals in the half for the Burning Skirts. Ellie Jungstedt 3 goals herself. Alex Barnett threw 3 assists. Connerly involved in 3 of the 8 UNC scores. And now the Burning Skirts will begin the second half on offense, which means we'll see the women's Callahan winner Don Colton on the field for the UNC defense. Megan, it has been a little while since a Callahan winner also won a championship. You got to go back to 2017 when Angela Zhu won the Callahan and the title with Dartmouth. Before that, it happened a bunch. Jonathan Nethercutt did it in 2015. Jimmy Nickel did it in 2014, as did Cassie Swafford that year for Ohio State. But that is really the more important thing. The Callahan special, but the championship is what you completely covet.
Well, Dartmouth certainly looked poised to win it the year that Angela Zhu also won the Callahan, and I have to say the same about UNC.
Jack Verzu won it in 2019, but Dartmouth lost to UC San Diego in the finals. Matt Gusho-Hannes, also a winner in 2019, as you interviewed him earlier today, but Brown got the better of UNC in that final on that particular day. That was 3 years ago. We were in Round Rock, Texas. And that's an incredible snag by Julia Hasbrook. Showing her stuff in the semifinals. And a strong start to the second half for UCSB.
I don't know, Evan. Hasbrook might be angry.
If I landed on the ground that hard, I'd be angry too.
Gets up. That could not have felt good and still has the wherewithal to inside out that shot.
Amanda Zabriskie, the senior from Chino Hills, with the goal.
What a layout from Hasbrook.
Well, you can't go on a 5-0 run without first scoring one. First goal of the game for Zabriskie. We talked about Jasmine Childress, the Callahan winner last year, and Caitlin Weaver, who's on the coaching staff. The UC Santa Barbara leadership also talked about the departure of Nikki Yang, who was one of their top defenders in December. A big emotional gap that they had to fill without Nikki on the field. And of course, that's a big part of College Ultimate, is developing those young pieces to fill those gaps in future years. Which is frankly one of the scary things about North Carolina, the amount of young talent that they have still rising up.
Just rolls out of bounds just about midfield.
Barnett marked by Levasseur. Is that a clean D? Teresa Yu called a foul, so apparently not. Vienna Lee was right there with her, stride for stride. Lee may have taken the worst of it. And that's really close.
Okay. Coming to the observer. Foul. Foul upheld! Injury call. Injury call.
Injury, take a second.
Does Blue want a sub?
Hasbrook's coming in, and UNC's like, nah, we're good with the 7 we got on the field. Barnett, Youngst, and Yu, with Riley, Worth, and Jessica Wu. Barnett just continues to work in that handler space. We talked about it in December. Alex Barnett was primarily a D-liner for North Carolina for most of that season, and then Tyler Smith went down. So Barnett moved over and played O and starred. I mean, it was like she had done it her whole life.
Yeah, and that really exemplifies what you said earlier, how scary it is when you think about the UNC squad. Anytime there's a departure, there's another talented person to fill it in. Barnett looking like she was born to play on the offensive squad.
They liked her length and her ability after a turn on defense, obviously, but you see the relentless footwork and quickness getting open in those small spaces as a bigger player. Really, really tough to guard. So the point culminates with you finding Barnett. Much more muted celebrations from the UNC women compared to the UNC men or the Colorado women that we saw earlier today.
Really falls into line with their character of very buttoned up, disciplined players.
So here's the question, and there's still a lot of time, and it's not the question you think. They say that heroes always become villains eventually. It's been an incredible run for North Carolina Ultimate, and obviously we're still in the midst of it. Have you sensed any animosity towards the current editions of North Carolina Ultimate here this weekend?
Honestly, no, I haven't. And I think one of the reasons is that it's not as though this team is flying on the back of just a couple of superstars. They are really a sight to behold because it is the culmination of years of work in developing the youth in the Triangle area. It's incredible to see what a program can become over time when you continue to grow talent at home, bring it into a disciplined system, have dedicated coaches teaching, this is how we run offenses, this is how we're going to work defensively as a unit. It's exciting for the sport of Ultimate to watch UNC's rise to greatness.
Until people start to get tired of them.
Well,
and I don't think we're there yet.
No, certainly not there
maybe
yet.
Maybe 2023, depending on what happens over the course of the next 26 hours or so here in Milwaukee. That disc caught by Quinn. This would be the third straight turnover-free hold for the Burning Skirts O-line if they could punch it in. The goal that made it 7-3 at the end of the first half, and the first goal here in the second half that made it 8-4. Hasbrook about to throw another assist. Devin Quinn running across the goal line to haul in the score for the Burning Skirts. Key moment of that point was this throw that Quinn, who was not the intended target, but tracked down on the floater that was initially looking for Marlena Lascano.
You said you hoped she would get more involved. Her fingerprints were all over that point.
So the first goal of the game for Devin Quinn, as we check in with Ian, who's being a good humanitarian and picking up an A-frame on the sideline. Does that mean it's getting a little windier down there, Ian?
You read my mind, Evan. This is the gusts that we're experiencing down here at field level are stronger than we've experienced at any point in the game today. Strong enough to blow over one of these A-frames. And again, the direction of the wind hasn't changed. Cal Santa Barbara pulling from right to left across your screen. They're going to be pulling mostly straight into the teeth of the wind. It's slightly diagonal, but if they're able to get a turn, they're going to have quite the task in front of them to march into this intensifying wind for a break.
I appreciate the report, Ian. You certainly don't see the team struggling offensively in the wind the first few points of the second half. In fact, in the 14 points of this game, only one of them has had more than 3 turns on it. The majority have been turnover free. It's been a very clean offensive game by both teams. 5 turnovers for UNC, 9 for UCSB. None, though, here in the second half. Worth with a tough clap catch near her chin level. And Barnett. Floating it up the line, and you could not come up with it. Looked like a pretty good throw, Megan, but maybe the wind flubbed it a little bit, and you could not score the goal.
Yeah, it definitely had quite a bit of arc to it, but you touched her chest immediately after missing that catch, signaling she felt it was her responsibility.
Incredible catch by Elsa Winslow on the fluttering frisbee from Devin Quinn. And you see the wind right now going into the teeth of it. What a moment this would be for UCSB. If they could convert going into the wind and then get the ensuing downwind opportunity. Could we get to 9-7 here and put some pressure on Pleiades? Leslie and Hasbrook in the backfield. Another nice catch by Winslow. Some great hands, and Santa Barbara has the break. What a possession. And it ends with Devin Quinn. And she's thankful for Elsa Winslow for saving the possession earlier in the point. All right.
Here we go. UNC had been so disciplined, taking only the shots they wanted to going down the field, and just a misread from you. Hey, Quinn got lucky with that save. But from there, the Burning Skirts looking fierce and fearless in this wind.
Cool, calm, and composed. Second straight score for Quinn, and she will stay on the field to try to get the downwind break. Leslie had the first assist of the game for UCSB. And now here to bring them back within 3. Of course, when UCSB won the championship back in 09 and 2011, they had one of the great throwers in the sport, Carolyn Finney, who's on her second USA World Games team this summer. Kayla Jorgensen, now Kayla Helton, was a star of that 2009 team as well. That was a pretty darn good team. Hall of Famer Steve Dugan, also a UCSB alum, coached that 09 team. They won it again in 2011. And then there was a long gap for UCSB and even getting back to nationals. When they made it in 2018, there were no members of the team or the coaching staff that had ever been to nationals before. Barnett with a stall count rising, lets it rip, and it's Colton just shy of the goal line. Ann Worth is in, waiting for the official signal to spike it, and Carolina impervious, going upwind to hold and regain their 4-goal lead.
Clever little play from Ann Worth. Barnett hoping with that rip. But you don't have to worry too much when you have Dawn Colton down in the end zone. And there we have it. Callahan Award winner to Callahan Award winner.
The Callahan connection for Carolina. Colton and Worth. Ann won the award during that super strange abbreviated 2020 season when I sat in my basement over Zoom presenting the award to her that May. It was a bizarre, frankly, it was a really fun experience because that was a time where I think we all were just striving for human connection.
Yeah.
And just being on Zoom with all these great Ultimate players, having them together, it wasn't obviously the same as being at Nationals, but at that time it just felt good to see everyone's faces and to celebrate a little bit.
Yeah, have some good news.
Connerly with a missile of a pull, and it's dropped. You never like to see that. Mika Leslie. I mean, if she didn't catch it, it probably was going to sail inbounds into the back of the end zone, so you understand the desire to make the catch. But Ian reported from the field level on the quickening pace of the wind, and just like that, it's Raider to you. Does Connerly get the hockey assist there for the pull?
Oh, what a great pull from Connerly. I can understand, as you said, Leslie's decision to want to catch that pull, but she had to backpedal to try and grab it.
Yeah, you're not in your ideal position.
Absolutely
if you're
not.
backpedaling like
yeah,
that.
especially with the speed that disc was traveling with.
Well, that certainly stings for the Santa Barbara cause. You know, the last time they were here in Milwaukee, Megan, they played Colorado to a Universe Point game, their first game of the tournament, lost on Universe, and then the Burning Skirts did not win a game the entire tournament. You remember that Colorado team, after that Universe Point game, went all the way to the finals.
Yeah.
So that kind of spoke to the parity of that year. The team that went to the finals only won on Universe against a team that didn't win a game the whole tournament. But that was a building block experience, and a lot of the players that were first years on that Burning Skirts team in 18 are kind of coming full circle back here. Now, they have a huge hill to climb if they're going to truly come full circle and finish their tournament experience in Milwaukee against Colorado. But it would be quite the story.
It would be quite the story. If they stop shy of that, it's still neat to see how much the program has grown since then.
Yep, under Sam Fontaine and Hanny Pagella. Hasbrook with an ambitious shot out of the reach of Winslow. So now Carolina going into the win.
Going back to pick up.
Connerly had the pull that was dropped that led to the most recent Pleiades break. Hucking into the wind, looking for Colton, and on the second effort, Colton almost made the incredible play. But give Devin Quinn credit for the D.
Back over to Burning Skirts. Yuichi over to pick up.
Excited to see Devin Quinn develop. Just a freshman from Falmouth, Maine. It's a long way from Falmouth, Maine to Santa Barbara on the Pacific. A little bit warmer in Santa Barbara, typically. But Maine is nicknamed Vacation Land.
That's where I honeymooned.
Did you?
Yep.
It's a wonderful state. And with an incredible ultimate scene. Feels like every team has a young stud out of Maine.
Okay. Coming in on one. Coming in on one.
Ishii with a short flip into the end zone, connecting with Laura Blumey. And the sophomore from Chicago brings the Skirts within 4.
See the face on Blumey as she struck up the line for that throw. Look at this. Look at this handler movement. Fantastic. Such a great grab that she has trouble
It was stuck to her hand.
letting go of that disc.
Check for adhesive, folks. Now that's a celebration. Let's go to Ian.
Evan, talking to Caitlin Weaver, now an assistant coach on this UCSB staff before the tournament. She was really impressed by the improvement of Blumey over the course of this season and since the pandemic, really. She had never played before coming into college, but at this point, in Weaver's mind, Blumey is a universe defender, a top 5 player, and a great part of this Burning Skirt squad. She said there's times she has to remind herself that, hey, she's only been playing for 8 months. And she's that impressed by the plays she's able to make on the field, her commitment to staying late to throw. Really a coach's dream for someone like Weaver to mold.
I don't think there's any doubt that in the too early top 25 for 2023, this is a top 5 UCSB program with Hasbrook, just a sophomore, and Blumey, a sophomore, Quinn, a freshman. And Worth, the veteran, can't come up with that one. Hasbrook poaching into the deep space for the block.
Burning Skirts doing a great job of recognizing when UNC wants to release those long throws. They've been in the area to defend. That one by Hasbrook. The previous long shot from Connerly deflected by Quinn.
Looked like that stuck on her finger a little bit as she released it, just a downward angle that wasn't the intention. And a couple quick turns, and Ella Youngst.
Incredible.
I mean, Elsa Winslow is not an easy defender to beat to the open side, but Youngst just made it look easy.
I mean,
and it's another
I know
assist
the
for
joke.
Barnett.
I know the joke. Oh, here's the turnover. Just not quite the release point Hasbrook was looking for. I know the joke is meet me at the front cone when it comes to Ella Youngst, but I feel like she is able to toe the line so incredibly effectively. You notice as she's running in, she realizes she's getting so close, so she bounces the foot backward as she's making that grab. She is so commanding of the entire space directly behind the end zone line.
remember chatting with Ella Youngs before December Nationals, and she talked about how she had this feeling after her freshman year Nationals where it was just kind of heartbreaking. You have to wait a whole another year for the chance to compete at Nationals, and then COVID happened. Yeah. And she talked about how motivating that was to continue working out during the pandemic, to lift weights, to play mini 3-on-3 with Darkside, just getting touches. And she has blossomed into a star after starting playing as a freshman in high school when she was around 14. And there's another errant throw quickly. I think Jenny Fay coached Ella Youngst in her early Ultimate days in the DC area and recruited her to play for Scandal when she was like 16 years old.
Unsurprising.
Deep shot, hung on to by Izzy Myers-Miller. Back into the hands of Connerly. And that throw, oh wow. For a second I thought Don Colton was gonna do something crazy. Mika Leslie smacked it down, and here comes the Burning Skirts again. They trail by 5. That was the margin at halftime. Each team with one break in the second half. And really the key possession of this half, Megan, was Carolina holding upwind after the UCSB upwind break when they could have gotten it back to a 2-goal game. How about Devin Quinn? UCSB doing a great job staying calm after a great play.
Yeah, it can be so easy to be unrattled.
And that's just an execution error, but that was the right decision.
Yeah.
You can tell they're a well-coached team. Colton, nope. Ran out of room on the sideline. Wouldn't put the greatest past her, though. Just the second point of the game with more than 3 turns on that particular point. And the wind took control of that Ultra Star.
Yeah, if you didn't hear the direction the wind was going when Ian described it, you definitely saw based on the way that disc flew.
Turn right on the goal line. A little surprised UNC didn't just pounce and pick up quickly, but I still like their chances here. Connerly looking for Colton. Quinn defending, and a couple cuts creates the space. Colton with a quick spike, and UNC is closing in on another trip to the finals in the women's division. Their second break of the half, their 6th break of the game. Again, that's the throw you want, just not the right execution.
Yeah. And there you see Connerly just remain committed to her cutter as Dawn Colton does a little shaking of her defender in Quinn.
Three assists for Grace Connerly, who is very passionate about this sport and her team. She graduated from Ohio State in 2 years, now in grad school for European Studies. And she's a 20-year-old grad student who Jesse Jones says has lots of eligibility left.
Speaking of things that seem unfair.
I have not mentioned Tara Dressler in this game. She is the oldest player in the women's division in College Ultimate this year. A year older than Rachel Wilmoth for Colorado. Dressler, number 42, is 31. Quinn unable to keep that one in bounds. Feels inevitable for Pleiades right now to score a couple more times and then set up the Colorado-Carolina clash that we saw earlier today in the men's division, that we saw in the men's final back in 2014. And will be on the schedule for 4 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. 14-7 as the Callahan winner, Colton, scores again.
North Carolina 14, Santa Barbara 7.
That was very close.
Yeah, heck of an effort from Quinn.
I think the observer ruled her knee was down out of bounds when she made the catch, but her foot was still in.
We have a timeout on the field. Santa Barbara have taken their first timeout of the second half.
It's hard to pick a single star on this Carolina team. Dawn Colton wins the Callahan as the player of the year in a lot of ways. And like a lot of great teams, I mean, it's hard to say she's the most valuable player on her team. She's one of them. But Alex Barnett and Ella Youngst and Sydney Rader and Ann Worth, who was the player of the year, the Callahan winner 2 years ago.
Yeah, you think about the things that each individual player does on Pleiades, and you think, wow, this player is absolutely incredible. But then you think about the players who could easily slot in and either take over their responsibility or distribute it amongst the other players. I mean, I know Colton gets a ton of blocks, but if she wasn't out there making them as a team, they'd still be getting those opportunities again and again.
Saw Jesse Jones walking off the field as UCSB continues to bring the energy to celebrate this moment, making the semis for the second straight nationals. What a job Jesse Jones has done bringing a serious, intense focus to all the talent that they've accumulated in Chapel Hill with this Pleiades program. Not sure where Nationals is going to be next May in 2023, but I would not be shocked if we got UNC, UCSB in the semifinals for the third consecutive year. I mean, these two teams both feel like they have the staying power. And the score may not reflect it, but this has been a pretty impressive performance from Santa Barbara.
Yeah, it really has come down to just a few mistakes.
That's a really impressive possession.
Yep.
Winslow from Ishii to make it 14-8.
Yeah, there's more to be pleased about than not in this game against North Carolina. If they could rewind time and play it again, I still think that we would come to what seems like an eventual UNC win. But a couple of minor adjustments and this game would have been truly tight. Because look at this. Offensive maneuvering that they're capable of doing.
Megan, that's the 12th time in 22 points that a point finished with no turnovers.
Wow.
There are 24 total turns in the game, 9 for Carolina, 15 for UCSB. But in these windy conditions, it's been really beautiful. Offensive ultimate, with feisty defense, putting the pressure on and forcing tight window throws.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a very different feel from what we saw in the early stage of the second half of that Colorado-Carleton game. Yui, she's a heck of a player. Senior from Portland, Oregon. But now it's the Carolina O-line back on the field, going downwind, and the breeze helps take the disc to midfield, and that's where the possession will start with Barnett. Powell initiates to Barnett, and she launches deep to send Carolina back to the finals. It's Teresa Yu with a layout catch to give us an exclamation point on another brilliant Pleiades performance.
They're happy to take 100 shots to the end zone if necessary, or they're happy to do it in just one spectacular huck.
Just reminding everyone they have that tool in their bag as well.
Right. Lest you think we play only the short game, I shall disabuse you of that notion.
"15 goals, only 9 turns. They were broken just once. And it's a 15-8 win over Santa Barbara for the second straight semifinal.
3 p.m. start time here in the
Darkside and Pleiades both on the finals in their respective divisions. It'll be Colorado and UNC tomorrow. We will be back. The 2022 USA Ultimate College Championships are presented by Discraft, home of the UltraStar, the official disc of USA Ultimate. Your place for all your ultimate and disc golf needs. Visit discraft.com. We make flying discs fun. And by Spin Ultimate, providing custom team uniforms and apparel since 2007. Visit Spin on the web at spinultimate.com. A very convincing semifinal performance from North Carolina Pleiades, 15-8 over Santa Barbara. Dawn Colton won the Callahan and won a semifinal, and now she gets to do an interview with Ian Toner.
Winner. Dawn, talk to me about what it means to be a Callahan winner, taking the field with another Callahan winner.
It's really cool, honestly. Like, Ann Worth is such an incredible teammate, and I have always wanted to be as good of a teammate as she is. So I feel really good that I don't know, I feel really honored to have been given the same award as her and like be able to play with her. Yeah, it's just really cool to play with people who inspire you all the time.
What does it mean to you to be competing for another national championship with this incarnation of Pleiades?
I'm so excited. It means a lot. Like, we've put in just so many hours that I am so happy that we get the chance to play another game.
And you're going to be facing Colorado Colley, a team that's had a pretty impressive regular season and postseason in its own right. What are your thoughts heading into that matchup?
Yeah, they're really good, but our team is also really good, and part of what makes them good is how deep they are, but I also really believe in the depth of our team, and yeah, I'm just really excited to get to play them again. I know some of them from high school, and it's always fun to play against those people.
Thanks so much for your time. Go get some rest. We'll see you out here tomorrow.
Thank you.
Evan, back up to you.
Thanks so much, Ian. It was March 27th in the Northwest Challenge. A 15-14 win for UNC over Colorado. Hopefully we get a game of that caliber tomorrow. Our Discraft play of the game, the clincher. They played a lot of small ball throughout the first couple halves, Megan, but at the very end, it was the deep shot, Barnett to you for the Discraft play of the game.
It was such a good punctuation to this game in terms of the versatility and flexibility of these players and the skill sets that they have.
Well, it's been a celebratory Sunday for North Carolina Ultimate. Both Darkside and Pleiades prevail in their semifinals. The North Carolina men already took care of the Colorado men. Now it's the North Carolina women's turn. And the women from Boulder will try to get some revenge on behalf of Mama Bird. That'll be at 4 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow, 3 o'clock Central, live on ESPNU. Haven't had too many close games in the bracket, but the best teams have been the best. We got the top 2 seeds tomorrow, and we got the 1 versus the 4 in the men's semifinal coming up at 9 p.m. Eastern. Another Callahan winner, John Randolph, featured with Brown against a premier program that's won a couple titles themselves in Pitt. Looking forward to that, but for now, congrats to Pleiades. They're on their way to the finals with a 15-8 win over Santa Barbara. For Ian and Megan, Evan saying so long for now. See ya at 9 o'clock Eastern.